Alrighty, welcome everybody. Today, I'm really excited. We're actually going to be talking about Super Bowl commercials. Funny enough, I actually fell asleep during most of the Super Bowl, so we had to go back and watch some of them right before this. But it was kind of an interesting year for Super Bowl commercials. I know some of them, some people loved them, and I know our opinion about some of them was we didn't really like. So it kind of felt like they weren't trying super hard on some of them.
I just feel like they mailed it in. They just hired a celebrity and said, "Okay, here we go," and they've got influence, so that'll work. And
for sure. And I feel like it works for a lot of people. And for us, it just felt kind of cheap, but there were also some really good ones still too. And so I'm excited to talk about it. We're going to try, it's going to be kind of interesting. We're going to see how my editing skills come in on this episode, but I'm going to kind of, plug in some segments from some of our favorites, and we're going to go through each of them individually and kind of break them down, talk about what they're doing, why it worked, why it didn't work, and things like that. So
the budget for a Super Bowl commercial this year was $7 million just for the spot.
Crazy.
And then the production value on some of these and the number of stars they had to hire on, sometimes they just feel like they were throwing in another star just to show. It shows how much money these big corporations spend on marketing, how valuable it is. And before we dive in, it's interesting. I was talking to a friend of mine. He owns a service business and pretty decent sized business, $10 million a year. He is merging with another home services business that's doing $15 million a year. And together they're going to be a $25 million a year company. And he said, we had to do this in order to compete on a marketing scale in our industry, in our market, is we had to have the combined marketing prowess of the two companies. And so when you think about that, I think most businesses underestimate how much they should be spending on marketing if they want to grow and if they want to have a significant business. So even though it sounds crazy to spend that amount of money, there were a lot of eyeballs on that Super Bowl and new eyeballs because Taylor Swift brought in a whole new crowd of people who had never watched the Super Bowl before. Yeah. And so it was kind of unique. So for sure.
And I know some people kind of had mixed feelings about that too.
Oh yeah.
Some people are so mad that Taylor Swift is the spotlight of football now, but
if you think about that scale that I talk about, the scale of marketing from conformity to controversy, it definitely falls in the controversy area,
Because people are pissed about it, so they're going to watch too,
which is kind of funny. Going on.
They're like,
quit showing Taylor on screen.
I can't believe they're still showing her, but they're watching it.
Did you see that video? I think I saw it on TikTok. Somebody was complaining that at the Taylor Swift concert, they kept putting the camera on Travis Kelce.
Did they really?
And that's people were like, this is exactly how we feel about the football game. Quit showing Taylor Swift.
That's so funny. That's hilarious.
So we'll tell you our favorites at the very end.
Yeah.
But we're going to kind of go through some of them and just kind of give our opinion on them and talk about them.
I don't know. Where do you want to start? Which one do you want to kind of start off with?
What do you got at the top of your list?
Well, I don't know if this is the best one to start off with, but the top is Kanye's, his little commercial. And I think that one's really controversial. I think people were just annoyed, first of all, just because Kanye is kind of a controversial person anyways.
He plays that card all the time.
He plays that card. But if any of you guys don't remember, it's a video of him in the backseat of a car, and he goes, we spent all our money, no lighting. He's like, we spent all our marketing budget on the actual commercial spot, and we didn't have any money left over for the actual commercial. So this is my commercial. And he's like, I want you to go to Yeezy.com.
And since we spent all the money on the commercial spot, we actually didn't spend any money on the actual commercial. But the idea is I want you to go to Yeezy.com, YEEZY.com, and I'm gonna write it at the bottom of the screen, and I got some shoes, and
it's a selfie video.
It's a selfie video, and it's just him talking, and I think you can hear one of his kids in the background, and so that's funny, awesome. But in my opinion, I think that's genius.
Yeah.
Because people are gonna stop what they're doing because everything else is they're going to talk about it, and then every other commercial is this super clean, multi-million-dollar budget where they're putting all these
high production value.
Yeah. They're putting tons of money into the actual commercial, and he's like, "Yeah, we just bought the spot. I'm just going to put a selfie video in."
I love it.
And as controversial as he may be, that's going to grab people's attention because they're used to the crazy, overdone Super Bowl commercials. So I wonder.
So true.
I want to look up and see how much revenue he got after that, what happened afterwards, because I bet I'd be willing to bet money that it killed it. I bet he kicked butt with that one.
Could be. It's hard to say because obviously when you flirt with controversy sometimes and he's been so controversial
for so long.
Yeah. That he's turned off some people. So it's hard to say how it would do, but I loved the concept. I love the idea of that like crazy low value, low production, like selfie video, spend $7 million and then record it on your iPhone. Like
so funny. And only Kanye would do that.
Only
like
Kanye.
He just doesn't care. Like he's going to do it
else.
that way. It's hilarious. I thought that was a good one.
If I liked his shoes, I'd probably go buy them just because of his commercial, but.
Right. But they're like $600 and they're sock shoes now. So they just have like a little foam pad on them. People say they're comfy, but it's like, man, those things are going to get stinky.
Yeah.
They're sock shoes.
Yeah. Weird.
The next one I had on the list was Disney. So Disney's was really good.
Yeah. Very simple. They just took sayings from some of their most popular movies of all time, and you can't help but have some emotional tie to some of those videos.
For sure.
Or some of those little sayings. And they just typed them out on a blank white screen. It was fascinating because that's a very expensive commercial and very low budget.
Was it blank? I thought it was blue. I think it's a blue screen with white lettering.
It's white with black lettering. Very, very simple. The very last scene said, "Are you ready?" Which, "Are you ready for this?" Which I think ties into Taylor Swift somehow.
No, I thought it was the old Disney intro where it's like, "Are you ready for this?" And it like jumps into the intro for Disney.
Somebody said it was a tie-in to Taylor Swift. Anyway, being at the Super Bowl, but anyway, it doesn't.
Maybe.
To me, it doesn't matter. And then the screen turns blue, and then you have the star go over, which is the classic Disney move. But then it's Disney Plus, and so it ties the two together.
It's really clean,
super clean, very low budget, and but extremely effective. Now, when you have that kind of history like Disney does, it makes it a little easier.
For sure. Yeah. I liked that one too. It was definitely like, I didn't know what was like, at first I didn't make the connection. Like I was seeing all the little sayings and I was like, oh wait, I know. Oh, that's from that movie. Oh, and then like before they showed Disney, I was like, oh, it's Disney. And then they show the star going over and then it fades in with the Disney logo. And it was clean. Like,
it created really that curiosity piece of advertising, which is good. Cause you're like, what are all these, what is this? What's this going to be? You know? Yeah. So we love the commercials anyway. So we're always watching those, but
and we're not huge
the game's
football
back on. Let's go grab some chips.
Right. We don't watch a whole lot of football as it is. I think that's the one time a year that we actually sit down. I didn't even know who was playing until like 15 minutes before the game. I was like, wait, who's playing again? So it's kind of funny.
Swift Nation versus the Niners.
All I knew was Taylor Swift was going to be there.
Yeah, everybody knew that.
The other one that I liked was State Farm's Like a Good Neighbor. Neighbor.
Get me out of this chopper.
It was pretty funny. But then at the end, they have Danny DeVito come in and he just says neighbor. Neighbor.
Like a good neighbor. That was a good one. And play on the Twins movie. I don't know if you've ever seen that. That was kind of from my generation. But I mean, that was a good use of star power, in my opinion, because you have someone acting outside of their normal role, which is Arnold Schwarzenegger acting like a State Farm agent. Yeah. Right. Like he's a mega star. He's the governor of California. Like everybody knows who he is, but he's there in a hurry or in a pinch, you know, trying to help. So anyway, I think that was a good use of star power.
For sure. And just like, he's such an iconic voice and just persona that like, I don't know, it just worked really well. Caught a lot of people's attention. And then same with that emotional thing. Like it brings up that emotional connection to, you know, their movies. So kind of cool. It was a good way of using a star to kind of highlight some things.
It's interesting how it also demonstrates the use of unique voices, and unique inflections and different ways of talking. A lot of us try to talk normal. We were talking about this the other day with your B&I commercial, just trying to stand out a little bit more, because like you think about another commercial that's going to come up we can talk about is the Christopher Walken BMW commercial.
That one's one of the next ones.
Yeah. And he has a very unique voice, you know. It kind of sounds like mine. I've had a sore throat for a couple of days, so my voice is like really low.
Really deep.
But it just demonstrates like when you can stand out in a way that doesn't seem forced, it can really have a big impact. And so Arnold Schwarzenegger's voice and inflection and accent is so unique, but we all know it. And then we also know Christopher Walken, and everybody's copying him in his commercial. Another really good use of a celebrity, because he's kind of teasing himself. Yeah. Which I love. And it's just a realness, a humanness to it. He's not like putting on a show. He's just like, he's kind of annoyed with everybody copying his voice, which you know, it's pretty fun.
Yeah, so. That's awesome. By the way, I remembered what you said last week in BNI, because I was kind of giving you crap because you stood up all weird and you like put your arm on the desk and like put your head out over the desk. And I was like, why? I was like, are you hurting or something? Like, does your back hurt? And so I texted him during the meeting and I was like, what are you doing, man? He's like, you just got to get attention. You got to do different things. And so this morning,
people to look at you.
When I was up, I stood on my chair and I stomped my foot on the desk and I was like, good morning, I'm Koby. And I just normal, like didn't say any, I was just, and then I was like, my dad said I need to grab more attention. So that's why I'm on the desk today.
I love it.
And then I just talked about the podcast, but
because you look around while people are doing their commercials and people are checking their phone and they're doing this and they're like writing something down and they're passing the thing around. And
everybody looked up when I stood on the desk, everybody. Yeah. So kind of cool, but
I love it.
Just want to throw that in there. I guess we kind of talked about the BMW one with Christopher Walken. I think that's great. The other one that was on there that I actually kind of liked was Uber Eats, the one where they kind of had they couldn't remember anything, you know? So like Jennifer Aniston walks up to, I can't remember his name.
Oh yeah.
Ross
from Friends.
Ross and Rachel, and she doesn't remember him at all. And he's like, really? You don't remember me? He's like, we worked together for 10 years. And she walks away. She's like, I think I'd remember 10 years of my life or something. And it's just funny, but they had a bunch of those little duos where it was like classic shows that were just mega hits. Yeah. And they had these stars come in like they don't know each other. Yeah. So I think that was another really good way of grabbing people's emotional tie to a story or a duo or, you know.
Yeah.
I think that was a good one. I liked that.
And then he says something like, I hate this town after or something.
I hate this town. So funny.
That's a good one.
The other one that I had on there was the Kia figure skating.
Oh yeah.
It's called the Perfect 10 or whatever.
Wow, that was on the different types of advertising. That was an emotional draw, right? Mm-hmm. So it talked about, or it showed a girl at a ski, you know, or figure skating event, and her dad was there, but the seat next to him was empty. And you're like, who's missing? And she's kind of sad, and you can tell somebody's missing. And they go back and they plug their Kia all-electric vehicle in, and they light up the ice rink at their house, and Grandpa comes out in his wheelchair. And he couldn't make it to the event, so she put it on for him privately. And it was showing this electric car, which, again, sometimes the best advertising doesn't actually talk about the product. Right. And Apple was the master of this, 1984 commercial. Oh, man, it never even mentioned what the computer was. Every other commercial was like, it has this many gigabytes, this much RAM, this kind of screen, this kind of plugs, this kind of whatever. And Apple was just like, we're going to make 1984 like it's never been before, and that's sometimes the best advertising, as long as people get the message. So the risk with that kind of advertising is you don't talk about your product and people don't know what the heck you have. They remember the commercial, but they don't remember you. That's a problem too.
Yeah, for sure. Budweiser was almost kind of like that too this year. I liked Budweiser's, where it was like, it showed like a clip of some bars, they run out of beer, the snow, it's like a huge snowstorm. So the roads are covered in snow, and they're like, crap, how are we going to get, a new supply in or whatever, a new shipment in? And so these guys grab some Clydesdales and do it the old fashioned way. And they're like, we'll do it the old fashioned way. And they grab the Clydesdales, they have a big old wagon, and they're pulling it, and they can't see. And so the Budweiser dog comes running through and starts leading them through the storm. I thought that was a really cool way of like, same thing, the emotional connection, where people are emotionally connected and nostalgic towards that old school Budweiser, Clydesdales in a wagon and big old barrels. Like, I just thought that was really cool.
Yeah. I've always loved those commercials. I don't drink beer, but I've always thought those Clydesdales are so majestic, and I've seen them in parades before, and they're incredible animals. They're just so massive and strong.
Well, and Budweiser is just so good at marketing. Like, I remember there was a couple years ago, they did some competition.
Except for Bud Light, that was a little mistake they made recently.
They've come back though. They're doing good. Ever since they started sponsoring Shane Gillis, he's helped a lot, because he's super controversial and kind of funny. He's hilarious, but. What was it? Oh, the Budweiser competition. A couple years ago, they had like some sort of competition, and it was for like a lifetime supply of Budweiser.
Oh yeah.
And I just heard the story about whoever won, and their neighborhood like threw this huge party, and they pull in a legit wagon with Clydesdales full of Budweiser, and they give them a lifetime supply of Budweiser. But the whole neighborhood, like that whole block, just threw a party that night or something.
I wonder how much that is. Cool. How much Budweiser does it? I mean, like that's kind of subjective.
On how much the person drinks.
And how long they live.
Right. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they just supply it every time they run out. They're like, hey, bring us some more, and the Clydesdales show back up. Kind of funny.
Wild.
Well, that was all that I really had on the list. I don't know. Did you have any others that you wanted to talk about?
No, I think it's crazy. You look at some of those commercials. I do feel like, so Duncan performed really well online. I did not like it. It was kind of weird, but I get it. I mean, those are popular people. So Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck, and
I just felt like it was a little corny.
It was a little corny, and I think they were trying to be a little tongue in cheek. And for some, they pulled it off. For others, I don't know. I see J-Lo and Ben Affleck in public, and I feel like they are kind of adversarial a little bit with each other. And for some couples, I guess that works. But I'm like, man, they don't seem in love. Like with Mom, I really want to be in love with my wife. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I want people to know that I'm in love with my wife. They just seem annoyed with each other half the time. So, but whatever. They've been married twice, or together twice. I don't know, but I guess that works for them. But yeah, that one wasn't my favorite. But it did perform well. You said on the USA Today poll, it was like
number 4 or 5 or something. Like people were voting for it. They liked it. It was in the top 5. So
very recognizable faces
for sure.
When you were talking about Budweiser, I was thinking about the Michelob Ultra beer.
Oh, that one
with Lionel Messi,
really good.
And it was good, and it was a lot of star power. Again, they just throwing stars in random places. Kick it out to Dan Marino in the boat so he can throw it back, and it was a soccer ball. It was weird. So with that one, I've actually been seeing that one a lot on YouTube. I get that, but there's a bunch of different versions of it. And the first one that I saw, I love way more than that one. And they don't say a single word. It's Messi, and he walks up to a beach bar. And I don't know who the girl is. That she looks really familiar, though. I think she's like a celebrity or something. But I think he says one thing, like I want an Ultra or a Michelob or whatever he says, and then she's filling it up, and the draft like runs out. It goes and it like bubbles, and they look at each other, and she has this look in her eyes like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry, and he has this look like it's okay. And it's just like, it's all in their eyes. Like there's not a single word said, but then it just shows Michelob at the end. And I'm like, that is genius. They didn't say a single word. And like, that is money because they have Messi in there. And I don't know. It was just really good. Well, it creates a few different emotions. Obviously, that feeling of disappointment when something you want runs out. You go to a restaurant and you're like, can I have calamari? And they're like, oh, we ran out. Or can I have ice cream? Oh, we ran out. You're like, what?
Yeah.
The machine's broken at McDonald's, right?
Yeah. Have you heard the conspiracy about that they do it on purpose and they systematically shut them down? So like their machines don't actually go out that often, but somebody was tracking it, and there's a pattern. Like they do it on purpose so that people will be like, crap, they don't have ice cream.
I got to get it next time.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a shortage. There's a piece of that's a shortage, but, the other piece that implies in the marketing is that it's very popular and it's run out. And so it, that's kind of interesting. Is Blue trying to come in?
Blue's pushing his way through. I just saw the door open slightly, and then I see his eyes like in the dark, like looking at me like, please let me in.
Come here, Blue.
Blue, come here. Blue. Blue. Hi, boys. Hi. Hello. Oh, Blue, come here. Come over here, buddy. Oh, he's going to rip everything up. Hi, buddy. Hello.
Okay, Blue.
Careful, careful, buddy. Careful. Okay.
Go out.
He's so excited.
Go downstairs.
Go.
Good boy.
Go. I bet he's been sitting at the door the whole time just waiting for us to.
And then I didn't realize it wasn't always all the way shut, and he just nudged it and it opened.
Yeah.
He's funny.
What were we talking about? I can't remember.
So there's another commercial that is not a Super Bowl commercial, but I just saw it Wednesday, and I think you should look it up. So go to YouTube, type in Mercedes BMW commercial. So the whole time you think one thing and it ends up being another. Retirement, this one.
Wow, that's crazy. I was not expecting that at all.
I know.
That's insane. So who is that guy?
He's an executive from Mercedes.
From Mercedes? Did he move over to BMW or something?
No, he retired.
He just inspired them constantly because it's competition. That's cool. That's a really good idea. So
it's a shout out, and the whole commercial is Mercedes.
Yeah.
But then at the end, it's kind of a shot over the bow. He switched over, but I don't know. Maybe they gave him a free car or something.
Maybe.
It's pretty sweet looking.
That is cool, though. That's a really good idea. And that's like, I don't know. I feel like that's a really good tactic anyways. Like even with like networking, that was one thing that I had to learn at first is like, it's way better to shout somebody out every single week than talk about yourself in a networking group. Like it's way better.
Yep.
You look like if you stand up every week and you're like, give me this, give me that, give me this, I need this. Nobody's going to want to help you. You seem greedy.
And if you like in marketing, one of the keys, it's the same in a BNI group.
Yeah.
Is if you stand up every time and you're like, all right, this week, what I'm looking for is, landlords that have this or whatever, like that's what everybody does. And so if you can just give a little nugget of knowledge, give a little bit of positivity, give people a taste of what you do, generate curiosity, say things that make people say, oh, I want to hear about that. If you have anything free you can offer, offer it, or some kind of discount that's specifically for that group. Stand out from the crowd. Don't do the exact same thing that everybody else is doing. In marketing, it's the same. Most of the time we say, here's our product. Here's why it's so great. You should buy it. Right?
Sure. Yeah.
When we break that mold, all of a sudden people are like, whoa, that was crazy. Right? That whole commercial is like a testament to Mercedes-Benz. And I mean, it's cool. You see a lot of cool cars. You see a really cool facility. You see all this stuff, and then at the end, they're like, thank you for inspiring competition. But then the guy drives off in a BMW, which is kind of cool, too. So,
yeah, it's a really good idea. Yeah. I wonder why they didn't put that in the...
It's like 4 years old.
Is it really?
Yeah, a friend just showed it to me on Wednesday, and I was like, what?
You're like, wow,
how come I never saw that?
That's awesome. That's sweet.
It's one of my favorites. And you're right. In the shout out section, if you're in a networking group, that little piece is much more valuable because you're also shouting out your friends. So speaking of shouting out your friends, we have a sponsor for today's podcast.
We do.
It's somebody from Koby's BNI, and he owns RinoReno.
RinoReno Handyman Services.
Yeah, so tell us about it.
Yeah, so his name's Andre. He joined probably about a year and a half ago maybe, and he is awesome. His background is in painting, but he does just about anything. Like he's the handiest dude I know. So this is kind of what he sent me, but he's your ultimate home maintenance solution. So from painting your walls to revamping your deck, Andre can do it all. You need your gutters clean or your home power washed to perfection. You've got it covered inside and out. With meticulous attention to detail and commitment to quality, trust RinoReno Handyman Services to elevate your home's appearance and functionality. Say goodbye to DIY headaches. Call RinoReno Handyman Services today for a job done right every time. And I'll put some of his contact information up on the screen. But yeah, he's fantastic. And he does a ton of work within our BNI group. And all I hear about what he does is just accolades. Like he's just incredible, especially his painting. Like he is so good at painting. Like he just pays attention to the smallest details.
That's important.
And he's just really good at it. I've actually done some work with him. Mm-hmm. We've done some projects together just for like heat cable and stuff because we kind of both wanted to do it. And so it just made sense to try and tackle it together. And he's just a hard worker, just like get down and
Yeah,
get dirty and
super
do
nice.
it. You know, like he's just an old school hard worker and just a really easy to talk to guy, like super approachable. But he's awesome.
So I'd like to have him come over. I need to fix the rain gutters. We had some problems last year, and I just drilled holes where it was all pulling up because I thought, oh, I'll fix that this summer. Of course, and now it's next winter. And now we got these big old long icicles growing out of the holes, and I'm like, I'm hilarious. And leaves stuck up in there. I knew I wouldn't get to it yet, and I couldn't do it in the winter, and then I didn't get to it in the summer. So
that's one thing he talks about all the time is the honey-do list that never gets done. Yeah. But
yeah, so tell him I need him to come out and just have it done. Do you have his phone number with that?
No, I said I'll just put the contact info up on the screen. Cool. And then it'll also be in the description. He's also going to share some of this stuff on his socials too. So
very cool.
So yeah. But our first sponsor, kind of awesome.
That's
first
awesome.
Little commercial. We do these for free for anybody that wants them. This is a new podcast. There's not a whole lot of people.
As long as you will share this with your social network, get more people listening to the podcast.
Yep.
Hopefully we're entertaining at least a little bit.
Right.
At least we're funny looking. We got that
funny
going
looking.
for us.
We got that going for us. But yeah, we'll also share it on our socials too. So it's not just a one-way street. You know, you're not just putting your commercial on a podcast. It's not going anywhere. We're going to share it to everybody that we can as well. So they're free 30-second commercials. For him, he just typed up something in ChatGPT. I think it's more important. You know, it's cool to talk about the business, but I like telling stories about people that I've done business with because I mean, you hear about stuff all day, every day. Businesses that do various things, you know, and so those little stories and the people that do good, you hear about those good stories and it makes them stand out a lot. So
in fact, if you would like to do it, you don't even have, like a lot of people get caught up on writing what they should do in their commercial. ChatGPT is one option, but we can also do it. Koby and I are good at words. I'm a professional copywriter, marketer, so I've done this for many, many years, so I'm happy to help. I wish this was my normal voice. Like, it sounds awesome. Like I would be a voice made for radio. It'd make up for everything else. But anyway, but we can do that. So we'll write out a commercial for you. We'll send it to you for approval. But if you want to do that, then just let us know. We'll put it in there.
Yep. Sweet. Cool. Well, I think that's pretty much all that we have for today, talking about the commercials and stuff. We're going to put our favorites, our two favorites here at the end. You can watch them both. And then, just make sure, and if you're listening, leave a like for us. It takes a couple seconds and it really helps the podcast get pushed out to more people. So, and if you enjoy the content, subscribe. We're going to be posting every week. So
awesome.
Okay. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you guys next week.